Alrighty, folks, welcome. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. We are live and we do have breaking news to cover. I want to jump right in. Now, in this video, we're just going to be covering the basics and the bare bones of the bill, but a bill has passed. The Inflation Reduction Act has, in fact, passed the House after passing the Senate, and it now gets sent to President Biden's desk. So again, in this video, we're not going to talk about every single solitary detail that we talked about in previous videos. Let's let the president sign the bill, and then we will go into every single thing that you need to know and exactly what this bill will do and what will be implemented, how much money is going where. All of that we will talk about once the bill has in fact been signed by the president, and which is expected, that is anticipated. But let's get started and dive right into this breaking news. But before we do, of course, as you guys know, little reminder, give yourself a big thumbs up, smash the like button, I would appreciate that. If you like this video, just help with the YouTube algorithm and we'll reach more people. And if this live stream does get to 500 likes, we will do a cash giveaway where we give away $100 to a few of you lucky subscribers. If you haven't already, make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on. That bell will notify you every time we do post a brand new video. And we post videos now on a daily basis between our normal every other day recordings as well as our short videos that we have been posting now lately. So with that being said, also let us know where you are tuning in from, city, state, location, whatever you want to tell us where you are coming from in the country. And I think we can get this show on the road. So the House of Representatives has now passed the Inflation Reduction Act along party lines, rounding out a series of recent wins for the president. The president has been on a bit of a winning streak lately. Now, granted, the most recent inflation data, what's interesting is you're seeing all of these cheers and celebrations from the left about how great the inflation data is now because it didn't go up again and wasn't a new record high, but it's still very high. It is vastly high, the inflation data, and it shouldn't be too much of a reason to celebrate. I don't think this is necessarily going to be the start of a huge precipitous decline in inflation. I think this is just a one-off scenario where you have inflation that wasn't so bad as previous months. But anyways, we're not talking about that in this live stream today. We are just talking about the Inflation Reduction Act. The House voted 220 to 207 with no Republicans joining Democrats in supporting the act. Same scenario played out in the Senate. Republicans don't want to hand the Democrats a win, especially with the midterm elections, and they're trying everything their best to impede any efforts that the Democrats are making and just obstruct any progress that the Dems are trying to make here. So it now heads to the president, who is expected to sign it, and it's probably going to be signed into law next week after months of negotiations between moderate and progressive Democrats, who ultimately reached an agreement just this last month. According to Representative Pramila Jayapal, she is the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus. She said, "We are unified. Democrats are all in this together. We are all making life better for the American people." Huge celebrations in the House chamber, on the floor, and then celebration from the president, who was watching on his screen. The sweeping legislation on healthcare, climate, and taxes passed through the Senate 51 to 50 along party lines last week, as we discussed, after a 15-hour session of debate, amendments, and negotiation, ending in Vice President Kamala Harris casting the tie-breaking vote. So it was 50-50 with Kamala Harris, the VP, breaking that vote, and that's what happens when you do have a 50-50 draw. Vice President could break the tie, of course, if they're in the incumbent party of the chamber of House, the party that in fact passed this bill. Obviously, if the Vice President was Republican, the VP would not go ahead and break that tie in the scenario. So there are a few days in a congressional career that truly feel historic. To me, this is one of them, said House Majority Whip James Clyburn. And he said this on the floor ahead of the vote. And then House Speaker Nancy Pelosi spoke, saying, quote, "This legislation is historic, it's transformative, and really a cause for celebration." House Republicans criticized the Inflation Reduction Act as overreaching and said the billions of dollars in spending wouldn't solve inflation. House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy said in his nearly 50-minute speech on the floor ahead of the vote, quote, "Today, the majority jams through another spending spree. I believe the largest tone-deaf bill we've seen in this chamber in 200 30 years. He said that. That is according to House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. Passing this bill today means more expensive bills for Americans tomorrow. Good soundbite there from the Republican Minority Leader. And some voters and progressive lawmakers like Senator Bernie Sanders, independent from Vermont, but tends to vote with Democrats and tends to side with them, have said the Inflation Reduction Act doesn't do enough to immediately alleviate strains on working families. He voted for the measure despite his tepid backing, saying the bill was a worthy down payment and signaling to other progressives they should support it as well. So Bernie basically believes that this won't do enough, and he thinks this is just the beginning of perhaps a series of bills that should come through the Senate for up for discussion and up for proposal. And he believes that this doesn't do nearly enough. He thinks that there should be a lot more, probably in regards to climate change, as well as a big area of debate for progressives was making compromises on taxes for corporations and the wealthy in order to get the centrist senators on board, like Kyrsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. The Democrats had to make some big concessions, especially on the progressive side, with different provisions such as the corporate and wealth tax that is included in this bill. So Bernie Sanders, he probably wanted something a lot more aggressive as far as taxes, and that would also ultimately raise more money. But I don't think we're going to see any more bills like this, at least for some time. We'll see what happens after the midterm elections. But it would take additional months and months of negotiations, and hopefully, for the Democrats' sake, that they would maintain control of both the House and Senate in order to pass more bills like this. But I don't think we're going to see another bill like this for a long time. This was quite a jam-packed bill. It was a pretty omnibus, all-around comprehensive bill that included a lot of provisions that Biden campaigned on and Democrats have been hoping and vying for so many months, even years now. In fact, this is the largest investment in climate change in history, in U.S. history. Now, it is hard to show how this bill will translate into immediate, meaningful change as far as Americans' wallets and inflation. Many experts and economists say that this bill simply will not tackle inflation and that it might even have an adverse effect. But according to the politicians, they believe that this will, in fact, hopefully bring down inflation somewhat. Now, the effects may not be seen short term, right? There may be long-term effects that we might not see for another year or two, according to some experts and economists. And the vote also follows a productive summer for Democrats who passed a gun control bill, the CHIPS Act. That was a big win for Biden and the president. That basically boosted high-tech manufacturing, as well as the PACT Act to aid veterans exposed to toxic burn pits, as well as approving Finland and Sweden's entry into NATO. So many wins here, not just domestically, but also foreign policy for the president and Democrats. And they are heading into the midterm elections with a much rosier picture as far as inflation, which they could say is starting to come down. They could argue this could be the turning point for inflation, that we already reached its peak. Now, this Inflation Reduction Act, it's basically a pared-down version of Biden's original Build Back Better plan. Again, it's going to go to President Biden's desk for signature. It hasn't been signed yet, but it is expected. And so the Build Back Better plan, that was up for debate and discussions many months ago, earlier this year. And unfortunately, Democrats couldn't get everything they wanted done as far as the Build Back Better plan and the Build Back Better agenda. So this is definitely an abbreviated, summarized version of the Build Back Better plan. Democrats have been trying for a lot of these provisions for a long time. They couldn't get everything. And like Schumer said in his speech, he had said that in order to get some of the good stuff, he had to swallow some of the bad stuff. And that is what Democrats had to do here. Now, the original $1.7 trillion domestic package, Build Back Better, included an array of social investments like universal preschool, paid family leave, and an expanded child tax credit that would have been permanent. Those social programs were cut over a year of negotiations in the Senate, with moderate Democrats such as Manchin and Kyrsten Sinema of Arizona taking aim at the bill's cost and impact on the growing national debt. Can't even imagine what House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy would have said had the original Build Back Better plan passed, and that is double the price as the Inflation Reduction Act, a lot more in spending. And so who knows, Republicans, they probably would have done everything in their power to stop that from passing. According to Representative Jamal Bowman, Democrat from New York, he had said there would be no Inflation Reduction Act without Build Back Better, and there would be no Build Back Better without the work of the Progressive Caucus. So he's basically saying that Build Back Better laid the groundwork, and it ultimately led to what we have here today. And of course, that is including the efforts of the Progressive Caucus and Progressive Democrats poking and pushing and prying at President Biden every each way, trying to get anything passed. And they were able to do it and all get it done. It was a team effort. So the bill includes a lot. There's a lot of areas of spending when it comes to Medicare and climate change and taxes and the oil industry, big pharma. So much is in this bill, but we're going to be covering that in another video. This is just a live I wanted to do as far as the bill passing and this breaking news. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. There will be more to come on this act and how it will affect you. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got value out of it. Share it with your friends. Spread the word on social media. Make sure you give this video a tremendous thumbs up. Smash the like button. I'd appreciate that. Make sure you are subscribed and have notifications turned on. If you want to get some free stocks, all me, all free, use the links down below in the description of this video. And sign up with the brokerage platforms or Robinhood and or Webull. You'll get some free stocks, some value up to thousands of dollars in some cases. So let us know what stocks you get. And if you want to connect with me on social media, I am on Instagram, I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok. Use the social links down below in the description. Look forward to meeting you there and look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. Take care for now, guys.